I'm Dakota. I'm a sergeant in the Army National Guard. I was deployed to Kabul, Afghanistan uh, in 2019 to 2020, and this is my story. So while I was overseas, we did a bunch of personal security for generals and just high person of interest. And when we would do that, we'd go and we'd sit in a certain area. While we were doing that, a bunch of the little kids, Afghan kids, would come around, and they see Americans and they think, oh, money or chocolate or candy, and they'd come up and we'd give them. We had little MREs, and we had little candy bars in our MREs that we'd give them. And there's one kid specifically that I remember. He always used to come up to me. Honestly, he kind of reminded me of my kid. And anytime he'd come up to me, he always wanted candy, and I would always give him. He liked the the chocolate M&Ms that I had in my MREs, so I'd always try to save them up anytime I knew we were going to that area. And one day we went out on a mission, and this time they said that nobody was allowed to be in the area. That anybody came in the area, we needed to make sure that they turned around and walked the other way. Well, this kid had came up with his friends as normal and wanted candy, and this time I did what I was told. I shooed him away and made him go on somewhere, and he gets down the road to this circle. It's kind of like a roundabout, and a suicide bomber was in the area and went off. Killed a bunch of people, including that little boy. I remember getting in the vehicle and we drove up there, and I remember seeing the little boy there laying on the ground. And it broke me. And got some more bad news later on. My wife at the time, I'd found out that she had an affair and was cheating on me. And at that point in my life, I just kind of felt lost, and just felt like I didn't have anything anymore. I remember I grew up in church when I was a kid. My parents used to always take me to church, and I've always been around Christians, and I always knew about God, but I could never really say that I was fully a believer. I never had that connection with God like everybody else around me did. I didn't truly understand. And it wasn't until I was deployed and all these things happened to me that one day God decided to come into my life and show me, hey, I'm here. And I can say that was and is the most amazing experience of my entire life. I remember sitting on a rooftop in Afghanistan where we were stationed at in Kabul. And after everything that had happened, I was just feeling down in the dumps, and I just felt lost. And for some odd reason, I just decided I was going to go for a walk. And I started walking around the base, and I knew that there was a church on the base. I just never knew exactly where that church was. I remember people talking about it. So I start walking, and it just kind of felt like somebody was holding my hand, pulling me around, guiding me somewhere. I had no idea where I was going. I just wanted to go for a walk. And I came to this building, had a little porch out in front of it, and walked inside, and it was a church. And as soon as I walked inside, I just felt at home. Something warm felt about the place. So I went up to the front of the church and sat down, and I just started crying. And I just let it out. And the entire time that I was doing that, it just felt like somebody had put their hand on my shoulder and was just there with me the entire time. And then eventually the pastor for the church came out and started talking to me and just listened. And it was from that moment that I decided that I was gonna make the change, and I was gonna accept Jesus as my Savior. And my life has been better ever since. So there's a quote that I've read, and it says that we don't actually change or make the change in our life until the pain of the current reality becomes so great that it overpowers the fear of the unknown. And that's when we decide to make the change. And I think in my testimony, the pain that I went through, really, like everything that I went through and felt, is what made me decide to make that change. And I think that sometimes we look at pain and we look at all the bad things that happen in our life as just horrible, awful things. But sometimes I feel like that pain's there for a reason, and there can be good out of it too. So I think that everything that I went through did have its purpose. I am Dakota Murillo, and I am now a follower of Jesus.